States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendships among united cultures.
Thank you. Next is roll call. Ms. Ragland?
Mr. Richard Primrose.
Here.
Ms. Teresa Stevenson. Here. Mr. Tom Sidwell.
Here.
Mr. Philip Box.
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Sandoval.
Yes.
Thank you. Any public comments?
No, sir, there are none.
All right.
Approval of agenda.
Approval of the agenda. Mr. Ragland said down on under reports B, number 2 and 3, it has years 2024, 2025, and then 2023 on both of them. That needs to be deleted. So it's just 24, 25, 25, 26. So I ask that you make that change. That change, is there anybody that has any other additions or deletions? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell.
Yes.
Mr. Box.
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval.
Yes.
And Mr. Primrose.
Yes.
And the motion carried.
Appreciate it. Next is approval of the minutes for December 12th, 2023. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes, and is there any additions or deletions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the December 12th meetings as presented.
Second.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Box.
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval.
Yes.
Mr. Primrose.
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson.
Yes.
And Mr. Sidwell.
Yes.
And the motion carried.
Next is organization of the board. I'll turn that over to Dr. Moss.
So according to our board policies, after each election, even though our two members were unopposed, we need to re-elect or reappoint offices for the board. And so I will start that and call for recommendations for chair of the board, or nominations, I guess would be the right word.
I make a motion that we nominate Richard Primrose,
Second.
chair of the board.
Okay. Any other nominations? Do you want to call, do you call a vote?
And if there's no more nominations, yes, Mr. Sidwell.
Yes.
Mr. Box.
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval.
Yes.
Mr. Primrose.
Yes.
And Ms. Stevenson.
Yes.
And the motion carried.
And I'll turn it back over to Mr. Primrose.
All right. Next will be an appointment of vice chairman of the board of trustees.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Ms. Teresa Stevenson to that position.
I second.
All right. Motion and a second to appoint Ms. Stevenson for vice chair. Roll call, please.
Mr. Box.
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval. Mr. Primrose.
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell.
Yes.
And the motion carried.
All right. Next is appointment of secretary clerk of the board of trustees.
I move that we appoint Mr. Tom Sidwell.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sandoval.
Yes.
Mr. Primrose.
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell.
Yes.
And Mr. Box.
Yes.
And the motion carried.
Right, next on the agenda is chairperson's report. The only thing I do have is, I was reminded by email today that we're, one of the things that HLC recommended when they were here is for some trustees, board of trustees, basically some education and some, follow-up on our duties. HED was here earlier this year or last year.
Sometime in June.
June. And they did a training for us, but they said they don't normally do that on a yearly basis. And so, I think, we need to follow up and go ahead and get, I don't know if is there a good time for the trustees to try to set up, we're probably gonna have to do something virtual so that keep it in our price range, eliminate the travel and the overnight.
And I would add, Dr. Hackett and I had followed up with HLC. They don't have any training. We talked to NIMIC, which is an organization the college is a part of, and ACCT, which we're a member of, also has some training. So we need to follow up on that too and get some ideas and see what you all want to see about training.
Is any particular time that the board, I know especially the ones that are still working?
See what's available with them, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. We can get some, maybe a timeline for that, I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Next is Dr. Moss's report.
So you all have my report. I want to follow up on a couple things. Let's see, the 2022 audit. So I'd sent you all where we were at on that, and I know we had the exit meeting, and Ms. Sharmer and I talked about should we try to contest the disclaimer that was put on the 22 audit, because there were things that she found in what we saw in the report from Office of State Auditor, and then with some follow-up questions, she did not feel like we should have had that disclaimer on our audit. So we basically came down to checking with HED and seeing if one, we should move forward with an improved audit but with a disclaimer, or do we have the time to go through contesting that and going back and forth with Office of State Auditor? HED said, really, you just need to get it done, get it out of the way, and move on to 2023. So that's the message that I passed on to Mr. Heo with the Office of State Auditor's office. Still haven't gotten anything from her, but we're just waiting on her to send us the preliminary report, adjusting entries and things that we'll need to put in for 2022. And she wanted to schedule a time to go over the audit with the board. I offered tonight, but she said that's too soon. So tentatively, we're looking at the February board meeting where she would either come personally or virtually and go through the audit with you all. So hopefully, I'm going to keep pressing her on that. We get that back really quickly so that we can get started on the 2023 audit. Special audit, I was given access to the portal to download information for that audit. It's pretty extensive, and it's going to take some time to put some of the things we've already got together for other things, but there are other things that it's going to take a little bit of time to put together and get to them. And I can't remember if I pointed this out in the, and maybe mentioned it last month. It helped me to get clarity that the special audit is designed basically to see how we got in that mess. I'm sure they'll be looking at what we're doing now and things we've done since then, but that's what they're really going to be looking and talking to staff and faculty, you all as board members, just to identify what went wrong and then how to maybe make recommendations to keep moving forward, and also to watch for other institutions that might get in the same situation. I want to go ahead and introduce some of our new hires. I would leave that up to the VPs and directors, but if these people want to leave and don't want to stay for the whole board meeting, they have that option. We have Ms. Bailey Roberts, who is not here with us tonight, who is our new nursing instructor. She'll be a full-time nursing instructor, which is a great addition to our program. Nina Hatfield-Montano, who is our administrative assistant right now for academic affairs and student affairs. Cy Palmer, who is also not here, is our part-time fitness center supervisor. And then Mr. Nick Bradfield is our new director of facilities. And, Mark may have some more to add to this, but he's really hit the ground running and eager to learn about campus, and already brought up some great ideas and some things to get us moving forward. So I want to welcome them to our campus. Let's see. Back to school meetings, I think went pretty well. We had to make a lot of adjustments because of the weather, but they seemed to go well, and I think we had some enjoyable activities to go along with the trip back. If you all have any questions, it was a pretty short period, really, with HLC. Wanted to add, I'd said last month that we received that letter where it looked like the president of HLC was going to recommend that we go on probation. Since that time, Dr. Hackett's been talking with our liaison with HLC. There is a potential that we can contest that based on what we've done, even since when they were here in September. And so we're working very diligently to assemble documentation and information about the findings. There were a couple that were not met, and then also some follow-up on the ones that were met with some concerns. And so there is a possibility that we may be able to contest that and just be put on, it's not probation, what's the next? It's Notice, which is an improvement. Neither one necessarily takes away our accreditation, but anything we can do to not start out further back will be beneficial. So if nothing else, we'll at least give them an update and show the progress that we've made over the last five months since they were here. Okay, that's all I had.
I just want to welcome all of the new employees. If there's anything that we can do to help, let us know. We're glad you're aboard, and thank you very much. One of the other things I did want to hit on is the foundation. The Mesalands Foundation is going to have a shrimp oil dinner on February the 10th. So mark your calendars. This is a fundraiser, and they're trying to get some additional money for the foundation for the development of college. So it'll be starting at 6 o'clock at the Elks Club. We'll have a dinner, and then we'll have a band and a dance. And everybody come out and help the foundation and have a good time.
And tickets are
$30.
And where do you get the tickets?
We're having.
We'll know after tomorrow.
Now I think I'm sure all of the foundation members will have
They're in the
tickets.
process.
We'll probably have some in our office too,
Talk
at
to
some
Tom.
point.
No. And I think they were gonna try to put some here at college, so we'll know more about that after tomorrow. Next is the, December financial report. Everybody had a chance to look at that. Dr. Moss, you have any comments?
I just, want to add, we finished the year, if you look at the numbers, with a cash balance of a little over $1 million. We don't have it, well, I think I forwarded it to you all, a few days ago, but when you get into January, after the first week or so, that cash balance actually jumps up to around 1.6 million. It's still too early to say, how we're going to end the year, but the fact that, our cash balance is staying good, all our bills are being paid. We paid off the loan that we had with the State Board of Finance. So, I feel good about that. And I don't think that this latest amount includes our local tax, or a lot of it. That should be coming in, January and February. So that's just another added source of revenue that we don't get immediately, but comes in later in the year. So if you guys got any questions, I know Miss Hall, obviously our offices have been closed a while and she's been out some, but she was looking at those CDs to get more information on them, but I don't think she's gotten that done yet.
There's not additional questions. Stand to the motion to approve the December financial report.
I'll make a motion to approve the December financial report.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Primrose,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
Mr. Box,
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval,
Yes.
and the motion carried.
Next is our approval of the updates of our administrative handbook. That basically we've approved it based on the attorney's approval, and so the handbook that was downloaded to us just basically has the comments from the attorney. And I looked at them and I didn't see any problems with any of the ones that she had changes. Has everybody had a chance to review the attorney's changes to the handbook?
Yeah.
So I'd entertain a motion to approve the administrative affairs handbook.
I'll make a motion to approve the administrative handbook.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
Mr. Box,
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval,
Yes.
Mr. Primrose,
Yes.
and the motion carried.
Right. The updates for the personnel handbook was the same. We've approved it based on the attorney's review, and the copy that we received, it shows all of the the changes that the attorney had. I didn't see any problems with that. Anybody have any questions or comments on that?
It's good to see it back to what it was before it was changed the last time.
And that's something, when we're preparing that response to HLC, we're going to talk about, a lot, not only like our cash balance and some of that information, but also now we've got our handbooks updated, but we did it by getting input from all the staff and faculty and giving everybody a chance to provide input. And so, yeah, it'll be good to have all that set. And once we get it approved, we'll get those printed out and reposted on the website.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve.
I so move.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the personnel handbook. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Box?
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
And the motion carried.
All right. Next is audit committee. One of the things the state auditor requested is for us to have an audit committee. I've seen it where the board of trustees has one or two, and then the president and the staff, like the finance director, would be on that. And I've also seen it where all of the trustees wanted to be on it at the same time, but it would be up to this board as to how we wanted to make up that. For sure, Dr. Moss, finance director, probably somebody else from the administration, and then the trustees. I personally think that we had, say, the president, the chairman, and the vice chairman, and the trustees to be that committee. But if anybody wants to be on that audit committee, well, we welcome.
So what does the audit committee specifically, what would they do?
So from my perspective, those are people that are going to be, now anybody can, for the most part, that we want could be like at our exit interview like we had in December. But the audit committee is one that, is probably going to receive regular updates on the progress of the audit. They're going to be there for the entrance and exit meetings. They're going to maybe participate in the responses to the audit. Mr. Primrose may have a better idea of more than that.
When say the audit exit, we normally would have the audit committee, but so that they don't have to be at a commission, at a trustee meeting, and an executive will have to wait on that. Could have it sooner instead of having to wait. Is what I would see if, or we could have a special meeting if everybody wants to, but we wouldn't have to wait till we have a board meeting for the audit exit or the entrance.
And like if, let's say we're trying to set a date for the exit meeting, I'd want to make sure that the audit committee members could be there. Now, it doesn't mean that any other board members couldn't be there, and then we'd have some staff in addition too, but I'd want to make sure that those people could be there for that. And not only the Office of State Auditor, a couple members of the State Board of Finance also asked that question a couple times, do we have an audit committee yet? So I think it's something that we need to put in place.
So it'd probably be better if it was a smaller committee than to have it oversized.
Yeah.
I think we have 3 staff and a couple of them trustees.
Need a motion?
Do I have a motion?
So I make a motion that the audit committee consists of 2 board members, the chairman and the vice chair, and 3 staff people as approved by Dr. Moss. That's it.
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
and Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
and motion carried.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is academic affairs, Mr. Kaiser.
Well, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for having us this evening.
Glad you're here.
Glad to be here. So you have my report for the Academic Affairs Division. It's a short report this week, but for this month, but we have a lot going on. General updates with some attachments here, and I'll kind of go through these and then we'll discuss the exhibits. We have under 1A, the Lightcast Economic Impact Analysis Report. So I have an attachment that was included. We can take a moment to talk a little bit about this impact analysis report. I think we covered this last time.
I don't know that we had it to the board yet, the final report.
It's kind of a general discussion.
So the question of what does this do for us? So there in the description here, we're measuring Mesalands Community College, our impact on the business community, the region, and all the major stakeholder groups, which include students, taxpayers, and this society or the region of Quay County and further beyond. So their two-pronged approach here involves the measure of economic impact analysis and investment analysis. And they have a breakdown of this, of each finding. And again, you're going to have to help me out with this, Dr. Moss. This was, again, directed by...
So the idea came up from NIMIC, which is the New Mexico Independent Community Colleges Association we're part of. And they were looking at doing a study of all the New Mexico community colleges as a whole. But then they also offered where we could have some part of that study just specific to Mesalands and our impact. And you know, in discussing that with HED, they agreed that that would be beneficial to us. It would kind of tie in with their study that they're doing to see what our future needs to look like. And so we should get a report. I think right now we have the one for just Mesalands, but when they're completely finished, we'll also have access to the information of the community colleges as a whole in the state. But that's, NIMIC is where that came out of.
So on this impact report, it's measuring FY 21 to 22. And what you see here over on the right-hand side, operation spending impact, 5.3 million. Student spending impact, 3.5 million. And then, of course, our alumni impact, 5.1 million. Total impact, 13.9 million, or 247 measured jobs supported.
I'm really, when we saw this the first time, it wasn't made public yet. So I'm glad this is made public because it's huge that the college impacts the economy of basically 3 counties. They're looking at Harding, Union, and Quay County. The financial impact is 13.9 million. That's huge for rural New Mexico, and I think this is something that we want to publicize and let people know how important the college is.
Especially the
I was
legislature.
gonna say, with you for Quay County.
We know what a benefit it is, but when they actually show you some numbers, it makes it even better. And I'm glad this is going to be
appears to be very useful for us to present our case as far as what that economic impact is, as to how much it means to the east side of the state here and the college and so forth. So that was good to see that.
And some of the information on the bottom, like the bottom right-hand corner of the second page, those numbers for every dollar spent, here's the gain. You know, that was one of the questions we asked in the initial meeting was how do we compare to other community colleges in the state? And our numbers are actually high, in the high end. And I don't know the specifics of that, but that was, that's another thing we want to tout is, you know, we're getting more for that dollar than many other places in the state. So we want to emphasize that.
And this area that Dr. Moss is pointing out on that right-hand side, second page, the average annual return for MCC students, 23%. That's what we're noting as being higher than the average community college in the state of New Mexico. And that also speaks to their transfer rate as well to other four-year institutions too. So that's a big part of that percentage as well. For every dollar, students gain in lifetime earnings $6.80, and I'll always argue that because if you have a degree, your degree is priceless. That's, to me, that's one of my points there. But a lot of great information here that shows our footprint and what we do best, I think, in serving these communities.
And definitely for the students to show that if they work and they get a degree, it's very beneficial to them for their entire life. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
That's great.
Okay.
This is the only college that moved in Clay County. It's Mesalands. The rest of the community has Indian budge. We brought the wind turbine and everything that the college has. We brought it.
And that's a big part of this. I think our unique programs that's what brings these students out here to invest in this community.
There was only 4 people that helped Dr. Berry get the wind turbine. 3 board members and 1 county commissioner. And then we lost them both kind of early at Texas and I forgot her name already. I'll remember it in a little bit.
The other attachment here before I move on to the academic calendar approvals, we have a grant sub-notice from New Mexico HED, and this is specific to our adult ed program. We were awarded an additional $18,204.64, and this helps us continue supporting the ESL program, GED programs for adult ed, and it also supports professional training and development activities for our staff in that area. And I can tell you right now, starting tomorrow night, what it's supporting is we have ESL classes that are full, and this is English as a second language course. Last semester, if you were around in the evening, that side of the building was active. Every night we had 2 cohorts of students taking these ESL classes, and the goal is to help those students, give them the skills in English as a second language, and maybe they'll stay around and work toward their GED, and then we'll work toward college credit classes after that. So this is a pipeline for success for this college. So very important for our institution. Any questions about the?
In the letter it mentions that they need to submit a bar. Is that some action that the board needs to take?
So Dean Garcia is going to put together the bar proposal, and I would imagine we're going to see that in the next
Okay.
board meeting.
Well, I just noticed the date of January 15th, and I, ooh.
I'm not,
That's not much time to get
I don't
something
know
done.
if that, we're not necessarily talking about a college budget. I mean, it's for a specific program, so I'm not sure that would come to the board.
Could be an internal move.
Yeah. Do you know? I don't know that we've,
I think whenever the budget was put together for this
it
year.
was initially
that-
approved by the
that-
board.
That they put that, in the budget for the ESC,
Okay.
I believe
Okay.
that they.
Well, we can
they
include it.
kind of counted that in the budget already. So I don't think there has to be a bar since they were looking towards that.
If we look at the budget and
Yeah.
if we approve the budget with this in it, then we wouldn't need to,
Right.
but if the budget did not include this, we would need to
Yes.
approve that.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you for that. We'll research that, have an update during the next board meeting.
I remember her name. Grace Madrid. She was from District 1. She's the only one that helped with the winter.
Grace Madrid.
We lost Tex and her almost a month apart.
Other important, I'll highlight our important dates. Of course, our classes start tomorrow for the spring semester. And in looking at the numbers, I'm really impressed with I wanted to highlight two classes that tell me a lot about our outreach to the communities we serve. We have a course called the First Year Experience course. And this is for inbound, brand new students to this college. So we have one section that's full at 24 students, and we have to build another section. So that's great. And not to say that we only have maybe 36 brand new students, but what that is an indicator of dual credit students that want to be more ready for the college experience, where that class teaches you research methods, in all of the systems of the school so they can better perform. So it's good to see two sections built in that course, and also two sections built in our capstone course, which is a course that celebrates all of the 2-year monuments of your learning success here at Mesalands. So both sections of those are full, so that tells me automatically, or very close to being full, automatically we're going to have at least that many graduates that are in that class, because that class is required for an AAS or an AA degree. So that's great to have those full. Other classes, of course, gen ed classes we're seeing fill up, and we are getting requests from other high schools to support gen ed courses in a hybrid format. So that's something we're working with Melrose, and we'll probably extend the offer to all of our high schools that are in the GAR region of service. So I'm impressed. I think whatever we're doing, I think we're doing it right, and hopefully we continue with enrollment, and Josh will speak to that as well. Those are my main bullet points, and now for Exhibit 5 and Exhibit 6, which would be a move to approve our academic calendars. I think those are the exhibits.
Yes.
Academic calendar 24-25 year, and then academic calendar 25-26 year. And why is it so important that we approve 2 years in advance? It gives us a head start on our programming, but more importantly, our academic calendar is the foundation of everything we do in our operating system, Genzabar. So with approval of this academic calendar, not only do we know when our academic classes will be hosted and all those important census dates and financial aid dates, but it allows our system builders in Genzibar to preload the semester, pre-build all these classes, so we're not having to do build these classes on the fly. So we could actually build the next semester and the next year and then start advertising those classes now for the next 2 years. So it's very, very important for our future growth, especially when I have high schools contacting us now for the next year's calendar. So we can turn around and say, these are the classes we're offering, and work with them on that programming. So that's why it's so important. And has it ever been done like this? Probably not, but if we could do 5 years, I would. And maybe we'll work toward that eventually. This helps us create a system, lock it in, and stay consistent.
And it can be amended?
It can be amended. And I think that's part of this approval tonight, depending on situations that we work very closely. Our schedule is very closely aligned to Tucumcari High, of course, and some of their dates, and being flexible with those dates, such as the spring break, so that we're able to maintain those relationships with those students.
And you know, there's a lot of talk. The Secretary of Public Ed is pushing to move everybody to a 5-day week in the public schools, and so we'd have to have conversations about, okay, what do we need to do anything differently if that happened? I mean, I hope it doesn't, but that's a possibility too.
Well, then I've seen some proposed legislation to prevent that from happening and leave it up to the local school boards to make that decision. So hopefully that's what'll happen.
Yeah,
But
sure.
who knows?
Yeah.
That's right. So, we have an approval of the academic calendar for 24, 25. We need to do those separately? Okay. So I entertain a motion to approve the academic calendar for 2024, 2025.
So made.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
And Mr. Box?
Yes.
And the motion carried.
All right, then we also need to approve the academic calendar for 2025 and 2026. Entertain a motion to do that.
Also move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Box?
Yes.
And Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
And the motion carried.
All right. Do you have anything else?
I have nothing else. I stand for any questions. If you guys have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Kaiser? Thank you for all you do. I know you're a busy man this time of year.
I appreciate that.
All the time, but busier too.
We have an amazing team. I'll say that. That's what
Great.
makes this work.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Next is Student Affairs, Mr. McRae.
Good evening. With our holidays in between, we've had a very short period of time, but you can see from the report some things that we've been working on. Right now is very busy. Of course, we had Stampede Day last week, registering students. We're preparing for spring as we move into it. Financial aid, athletics, all gearing up and preparing for spring breaks we've been working on. Orientation is going to be on the 24th coming up. That's an event that we have for our students where members of the community and, of course, on-campus community come together and orient our students with the services that are available locally and on campus. I just want to draw attention to Mr. Julio Galindo, as he's been working very hard and had a lot of interaction with our international students. As you can see, we've had increase in some international students joining us in an activity, so he's been very busy with that. Continuing to work with the Senator's office, Senator Heinrich, and Civic Policy, Tom Downs, as we continue to look for opportunities to help our wind turbine situation and upgrading that and the possibility there. The food security grant maintains from where it was before. They still have not yet reached a decision regarding that. So again, you can see that there's been a lot of activity there. We've come off the holiday break, and so we're again seeing these activities for our students and getting everyone enrolled, and moving forward we'll be able to have a better report as we get past our census date to be able to better view where we're at in our enrollment for the spring. But that's my report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Mr. Bennett? Appreciate it for all that you do.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Short is always good.
Next is Administrative Affairs, Mr. Martinez.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. As everybody else has stated, it's been a little bit nice to have that Christmas break and over the holiday, but when you get back, it seems like everything is stacked up quite a bit. But thankfully, that's good news for me in my section. As stated in my report that was submitted, WWRC was expected to be back on site this week. They actually came in yesterday as they didn't have a holiday, so since yesterday to today, they actually have fixed the drain that was leaking in the new area that they've been working on, the renovation. And they've also put the sheetrock back up in that area, so they'll continue with that and texture it and paint it and continue on the punch list. With that, Dr. Moss had already introduced him, but again, I'd like to introduce Mr. Nicholas Bradfield again, the new Director of Facilities. He's hit the ground running. His first day was last Tuesday, and with that, he's pointed out a lot of things with his experience as having the same comparable position at the hospital for a couple of years. He knows what to look for, and safety is going to be a huge deal in addressing those items first. So I appreciate him for what he's been doing, and he's been able to have a chance today. He came in yesterday as well to see what the contractor has been working on. So that's good. That's moving forward. We were able to provide them the graphics for the wall that will go up on the north wall within that room. So things are moving along. A lot of items that I might have not have noticed, Mr. Bradfield was able to point out and speak with their on-site superintendent and get those things addressed. I'm also happy to announce that today the furniture, the first portion of the furniture arrived today. And so it's exciting to see a lot of accomplishments and the project moving forward in the short period of time, considering we've only been back to school on campus for a week. Also had a great update from the insurance company. They're just about ready to go on Building E, the wind energy building. They have been, again, working behind the scenes with CES and the contractor to go through the appropriate paperwork to get that process going so we could get them on site working on the roof on Building E. With that, it was also stated, Mr. Ortega let me know today that we actually overpaid our deductible. We paid a deductible both for the president's house that was re-roofed as well as the rodeo coach's house. So with that, they're going to be reimbursing us. We're going to get the full reimbursement, and what they're going to go ahead and do is charge the deductible once we start working on the roof for Building E. We're able to track it and go through CES, and it's a clean process. I wish this would have been caught earlier. It was on the insurance company, but nonetheless, we're going to get completely reimbursed for those deductibles and have one deductible for the entire project once we start construction. Also was able to speak with a third-party vendor, or maybe even more parties down from that. So we have NIMCO, who we contract with for insurance. Then we go through CCMSI, and now there's another entity involved to kind of streamline some things, and I have their name somewhere. They are Alliance Appraisals. So they should be here by next week to look at the remaining outstanding issues. So that's the rodeo coach's pickup truck, some tractors that received some hail damage to the windshield, and I think there's a four-wheeler that was involved. Everything that we have concerns with, they'll be on site next week. They actually were going to try to come this week, tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow, but it just didn't work up with scheduling. We need to have the rodeo coach on site so he could kind of show them exactly the issues that he's been having. So good to see some progress with that. Along with that, we also had the HVAC units on Building C installed, as well as evaporative cooler at Building D. So a lot has been going on over break. Also wanted to relay the great success we've had so far since converting the fitness center over to 24/7. Just to date, within a week, we've had, I believe, at least 30 people enroll for the fitness center. That's not including all the students that have that perk and that have been getting their IDs programmed to have that 24/7 access. But out of those 30 that enrolled, 20 of those opted into the 5-month get the 6 free, which was a good marketing effort on behalf of, I'd like to thank Josh for posting that on Facebook as well as advertising that on the radio. That's huge. So only 10 didn't opt into that full amount. So last semester, to give you an idea, we were charging $59 for the entire semester. Now it's $25 per month, or if you opted for the buy 5 and get the 6 free, that's $125. So we easily doubled the revenue just by going up on that cost. And I have not heard any negative feedback based on the increase on the rate. That's comparable to what the college had previously when we were 24/7. And many of them think it's quite a bargain. They've either moved in from out of town or have gone to other places. So they're very excited to see that take place. So nothing but positive news. Wanted to also let you know I did attend a meeting with Dr. Moss virtually last Thursday, which was very encouraging. It was a business and kind of government relations type meeting with NIMIC. And the one thing that really stood out to me is there's been concern throughout the community and others about, is Mesalands going to maybe combine with another large university or not? Those types of decisions take time. From what I've seen, I don't see that happening. And it's encouraging to see that the recommendations from LFC and from the Department of Finance is going in a direction where we're going to receive not only the same amount of funding we received last year, but it's recommended to approve it at slightly, I think it was 2.8% higher than what we received last year. So we're not getting cut across the board. We're getting funds in there that are being recommended for athletics program, for our wind energy program. So that's very encouraging to see that type of information coming down. And maybe in the future I could email some snippets of some of the information they directed us from the legislative website as well as the Department of Finance, some of those documents to give you an idea of what we're looking at, what's been recommended to date. So that's also very encouraging. Wanted to let you know as well that the report, I'm still working on that as far as the purchase orders. I believe that was probably attached with some of the financial information. So we do have the dollar amount of what's going to each vendor, the vendor's name, the date the PO was cut, but I think the last thing we're missing to tie that together is maybe just the specific department that's being requested for. That way it gives you an idea of where the money's actually going. And with that, one last thing that's really important. I'd like to thank Chester Bobbitt for his efforts. He had made a recommendation quite some time ago to start fixing the restrooms so we could get them open for staff and faculty and for the students. Unfortunately, we started moving in another direction. The plan was to get a contractor to do that. Well, we've had some of the communication concerns with the current contractor. So that being said, we decided to go back to renovating that, and I'd like to thank him very much. He actually started on that today, and half of one restroom is already complete. So within 2 weeks, we expect to have the restrooms across from the business office up and going for everybody, as well as the restrooms in the near the nursing program area. So that's very encouraging. Right now, everybody's having to utilize one set of restrooms here or utilize those that are at the fitness center. So that'll be a huge boost of I think appreciation and morale for all the students and staff and faculty. And then we're still going to be in the process. I think I might address this in the prior meeting. Go through a different contractor will be procuring services to actually get those completely renovated and meet ADA compliance. Since we're not doing a huge renovation, we're just putting back something where the sheetrock had been removed previously. We're still in compliance. We're grandfathered in to a certain extent, but once we go to replace those, we have to make sure we meet ADA compliance. And new fixtures, it's a bit dated. I imagine that's been there probably well over 20, 30 years, so it'd be nice to get fresh, improved restrooms. So wanted to state that and thank Chester. With that, I'd stand for any questions that you might have for me. And if not, that completes my report. Yes, sir.
I'm kind of worried about what you said a while ago about the college, that somebody else wants to come in. Are we still, do we still have a stranglehold on Mesalands where we can move forward?
As far as somebody coming in, as far
Taking over the college?
so I haven't heard those conversations. The main thing I want to emphasize is their recommendation when it comes to the financial side, recommending funding for Mesalands. That to me, I see that as a positive with my own opinion, I guess is what I'm saying is they're not recommending to cut funding or anything of that nature. It's actually an increase from what we had received previously. And it was a good meeting to see what's coming for upcoming budget meetings and planning for next year's budget, because they let us know in advance that the health insurance portion is going to go up for sure about 7.2%. So that's all things to keep in mind as we go to formulate the next budget for FY25. But as far as anything taking over, there's been no further discussion, and I don't anticipate that happening. It's going to be a long-term process if it does get to that point, but I feel really strong with our local legislators as well, supporting us, other people, HED as well, making sure that we stay independent as Mesalands Community College.
And it's also probably important to note that at least publicly, some of the other colleges that were mentioned, they've said they have no interest in taking us in. Now, whatever the reasons for that, I don't know. They kind of cite that it's just not fiscally or whatever, in their plans. But I think as long as we make sure that we stay financially sound and that we get our reporting continually improving, it's going to come down to HED making a recommendation. Even if they said, well, we think you should go under someone else, that's not a guarantee that it will. But I think right now we're getting in a good place, and I think they're behind as well. Like, they were going to have that assessment done by a consulting firm. I think they intended to get that done before this legislative session. They've not even started that yet. And so, in my mind, they're probably not even going to have that recommendation till the next legislative session, which just gives us more time to get things in order too. So.
This is what I thought, here a while back, we thought they were making plans to have, Tom wanted meat cutting process for the students. And then I don't know what happened to that. It never went ahead.
Well, the problem with that is it involves some personnel issues and then some communication. But I would also say we haven't completely abandoned that. We're still kind of having some conversations with some of the people involved in that. But we also, when we're trying to get things financially, we have to be careful about adding anything at this point until we make sure we've got what we've got stable. But we haven't completely abandoned that yet. We're still kind of keeping that open as a possibility in the future.
And if I might add, Dr. Moss, I think part of that, like you said, since it was a new program, we were actually advised by HED not to take on any additional programs at this time until we could make sure everything's back the way it needs to be. So it's actually part of the college's master plan. So it's still in their plan. It's just at this point, we've been advised by Higher Education Department not to move on at this point.
Okay.
Well, New Mexico State and Western University got their set problems, so that's
2024 has definitely been positive. We're only a few weeks into it, but a lot of things moving in the right direction. So it's good to see that.
Well, we have a budget and approved it, and we're staying within it, so that's positive.
And also giving fish, it's also, we have to wait on that too,
What's that?
giving fish.
Yeah, that's something we just have to wait, which we're not the only ones that, I mean, we can't do that on our own. That's gonna involve, the, I don't know what it's called, Conservation Department and some of those areas as well. So it's not something we can do right now, but it's kinda like the meat processing. It's something we wanna look at in the future, but we can't take that on right now. But we can still keep that communication open, and when we get to that point, we can work with them to see what we can do about that. I think that's also held up by, when I visited with Mr. Teachner, you know, there was some lawsuits and stuff like that that was kind of inhibiting moving forward with that. But it's still out there as potential.
It is my last year and I wanna make sure something's going on,
Yep.
besides nothing.
We have staff for the fitness center, part-time staff.
So part-time staff, the part-time gentleman that we have working for us did return back to school out of town this week. So he'll be working on weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. During the week, so far it's been, when it comes to programming, ID cards, they'll call me if I'm available or not in a meeting. I can run down a program. Once we get the process started and everybody actually has an ID, it's pretty simple to just renew, say, for an additional month, because I could do that remotely as long as they're in the system. It's just that initial programming, that card has to physically touch the software, the badge, and then I have to go in and do some work. But yes, sir, we do have somebody in the meantime to help pick up some of the void until we get Mr. Bradfield set up in his office. We may have him there part-time during the day, and I'll teach him how to do that, and it'll help relieve some of my duties as well.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Martinez? Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for all you do for the college. Next, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell,
Yes.
Mr. Box,
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval,
Yes.
and Mr. Primrose.
Yes.
And motion carried.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to reconvene from executive session.
So made.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, roll call please.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
Mr. Box?
Yes.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
And Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
And the motion carried.
All right. We do not have any correspondence. The trustees' calendar and reports are in our packet. And our next trustees' meeting will be February the 20th here at 5:30.
I'm assuming there was no action needed from executive session?
No.
Okay.
Did I skip that?
Yes, sir.
I must be in a hurry.
Okay.
Said something about one day, didn't you?
Yeah. There was no action after executive session. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
I so move.
Motion.
we all moved.
Roll call please.
Mr. Sandoval?
Yes.
Mr. Primrose?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Sidwell?
Yes.
And Mr. Box?
Yes.
How bad is the wind gonna be?